Hello, my name's Nick and welcome to Book Talk, where today I will be talking about The Great Zoo of China by Matthew Reilly. What can I really say about this book other than it's basically Jurassic Park, but with dragons? Now, I love Jurassic Park and I love dragons, so I thought, why not give it a read? But I've never read a Matthew Reilly book. My wife has though, and she's told me time and again that his writing style is very much action oriented, and she wasn't wrong, because this book has a very fast pace and basically never lets up. So much to the extent that I had to stop reading halfway through it and just put it down for a little while because it was too much in one go. Ultimately, I'm glad I picked it back up though, because it ended up being pretty decent all told, and well, you can't really beat dragons. Now, the basic plot of the book is that you have this character CJ, who is a veterinarian and crocodile expert, who gets called in by the Chinese government to have a tour around their wonderful new zoo, the Great Zoo of China. And even though it's pretty much spelled on the cover that it's a dragon zoo, the book actually takes time in revealing that there be dragons here. So you have CJ and a bunch of other people that have been brought in to have this tour, but the thing is, CJ is a badass. I mean, one of her defining features is the fact that she got half her face torn off by a saltwater crocodile and survived. Not just survived, but fought the crocodile off with her bare hands. And trust me, the crocodile came off worse. So there they are having their tour, and the book's going into a lot of detail about how the zoo works, how they've got an electromagnetic shield around the entire place to keep the dragons from flying off, and they each receive watches with like ultrasonic emitters which keep the dragons from getting too close to them, and generally being told how no expense was spared when the dragons, as you might expect being that it's basically Jurassic Park, start causing havoc, chiefly by throwing things into buildings. And by things, I mean big things like garbage trucks and cars and pieces of road. So you might be thinking, how are the dragons doing this? How are they getting close to the humans? Well, the dragons, it turns out, are much smarter than anyone gave them credit for. And this particular species of dragon, the red-bellied black dragons, basically tore out their ears in order to wreak chaos on the zoo. From there, the story progresses as you might expect, basically trying to survive. But the problem is, it never slows down. There's always something. There's always an attack. There's always someone dying. There's always something being thrown into something else. There's a lot of action, and it can become overwhelming. It certainly did for me, as to why I had to put the book down for a while. But as I mentioned at the start, I'm very glad I picked it back up, because the majority of the plot seems to be mostly centered around the end. And you do start to get more character moments where the story slows down and people actually have conversations and make plans, and you can kind of get a bit of respite from the chaos going on. Now, while the majority of the book is just CJ and her friends trying to escape the zoo, the stakes towards the end of the book do get considerably higher. And again, without spoiling anything, I'll just say that whereas Jurassic Park was based on an island and it was literally just about escaping the island, this book's based in the middle of China, and if the dragons get out, then it's kind of a global problem. So that said, when it does start going hard again, it really goes hard. And if you have a nervous disposition, I wouldn't really recommend this book, because there are, let's say, some gruesome parts. Now, I don't want to spoil anything, but primarily one that stuck with me was pretty near the end, where it's not just completely gruesome, but completely scientifically inaccurate as far as I'm aware. But hey, in a book where people can construct a giant mega valley for dragons to live in, what's realism amongst friends? Not only that, but the book does take some kind of fun and somewhat wacky turns. And to give you an idea, I'll just mention how towards the start of the book you have this handler who rides dragons and tames them, and yeah, it gets a little bit out there, but it's still fun. So yeah, while the plot does get going a bit more towards the end, there do seem to be a few more, not exactly plot holes, but plot points that are kind of briefed over and are just kind of forgotten about. And it feels like the end rushes a little bit, considering there's been so much effort to detail so much stuff about the zoo and the dragons and everything going on. It just feels like it's it's a bit of a race towards the end. And I just thought a few of the early bits could have been trimmed, and the ending could have been fleshed out a bit more, just to deal with some of the stuff that was a little bit brushed under the mat. That said, the book is generally entertaining, and if you can get past the overwhelming amounts of action and not get utterly exhausted, then it's a pretty good read, to be honest. Just don't go in expecting anything too cerebral, because this is a popcorn read, if anything, and it's a lot of fun, but you're probably not going to remember it in a year or two, unfortunately. Anyways, that was The Great Zoo of China by Matthew Reilly. I've been Nick. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe and let me know if you want me to take a look at any other books. And until next time, have a great day.